Hollywood once worshipped him like a god, a master of laughter whose every performance drew millions. Eddie Murphy became the ultimate box office king, a legend who could make hearts soar with joy. At the peak of his career, his films generated billions, and his face was synonymous with success. Yet beneath the glimmering surface lay a man shaped by tragedy. Fame, money, and acclaim could not erase the scars of his past. As the world cheered, Eddie carried private burdens, pain that followed him from childhood into the glare of Hollywood's spotlight, unseen but ever present. A childhood shattered, Eddie Murphy was born on April 3rd, 1961, in Brooklyn, New York, into a working-class family. His father, Charles Edward Murphy, was a traffic cop and occasional comedian at local bars. Life seemed promising, but tragedy struck early. At just 8 years old, Eddie's father was murdered in a crime of passion, a violent event that left a permanent void. Soon after, his mother Lillian fell into mental illness, resulting in her hospitalization. Eddie and his older brother were separated from their mother, and Eddie spent a year in foster care, a period he later described as the darkest of his life. Survival through laughter. The foster home was harsh, and Eddie's young life was filled with fear and uncertainty. Yet even in those bleak circumstances, he discovered a lifeline: laughter. He began imitating voices, gestures, and cartoon characters, turning comedy into a weapon against despair. Every joke, every impression became a shield against loneliness and sadness. His older brother Charlie became his first audience, and through humor, Eddie found a way to survive. "If I didn't have a sense of humor, I probably wouldn't have survived those years," he later admitted. Comedy wasn't just a future career, it was a vital tool for survival. Returning home. By age 9, Eddie's mother recovered and remarried Vernon Lynch, a factory manager. The family reunited and moved to Long Island, living modestly but with stability restored. Though his childhood continued under financial constraints, Eddie now had a home again. Yet the early trauma left lasting cracks in his psyche. The loss of his father, the year in foster care, and the instability of his early years became shadows that accompanied him even as he pursued fame. These experiences forged a unique resilience, an understanding that life's laughter and tragedy were inseparable companions, and that comedy could transform suffering into art. The class clown. In school, Eddie's talent for humor emerged quickly. Small, poor, yet fearless in performance, he became the class clown, delighting peers with impressions of Donald Duck, Elvis Presley, and teachers alike. When a teacher questioned his future, the 15-year-old boldly declared, "I'll be more famous than Bob Hope." While it sounded like bravado, it was also a statement of purpose. Behind the laughter, Eddie's performances were a coping mechanism, a way to mask childhood wounds. Humor became his identity, a tool to command attention, and an outlet for emotions too complex for words, a dual existence of pain and joy shaping his young life. The teenage dream. Eddie's teenage years were marked by a dual struggle, surviving social prejudice and pursuing a dream many considered impossible. At Roosevelt High School, his grades suffered, and he repeated the 10th grade, yet his talent for comedy shone through. At 15, he performed at a community center talent show, trembling at first, but soon bringing the audience to hysterics with his impressions. That night, he discovered his calling. School remained a struggle, but every performance on stage, however modest, became a step toward destiny. Laughter was not only survival, it was a promise of something greater, a ticket to a life beyond the hardships he had known. Early performances. By the late 1970s, Eddie performed nightly in New York's bars and clubs for minimal pay. He imitated Stevie Wonder, mocked public figures, and transformed everyday life into comedy. Sometimes he was booed, sometimes he left audiences in stitches. Each failure taught him resilience. Each laugh confirmed his path. He had no money, no influential connections, just persistence and talent. These years forged his craft and his persona, quick-witted, fearless, and audacious. It was a trial by fire, where humor was both a weapon and a lifeline. Eddie learned to survive with laughter while silently carrying the weight of his childhood trauma. The SNL breakthrough. At 19, Eddie auditioned for the legendary show Saturday Night Live. Initially overlooked, he made every moment on stage count. Characters like Gumby, Buckwheat, and Mr. Robinson captivated audiences and critics alike. His energy revitalized a struggling show and turned him into a national sensation. Within 2 years, Eddie Murphy became the face of 1980s comedy, recognized across America for his talent, charm, and fearless performances. From small stages to primetime television, he had transformed his childhood coping mechanism into a career. The boy who once hid pain behind laughter now commanded millions of hearts with the same weapon he had always wielded. Hollywood stardom. Eddie's SNL success opened doors to Hollywood. Films like 48 Hours, Trading Places, and Beverly Hills Cop catapulted him to stardom. He became the highest-paid actor of his generation, a superstar whose box office power was unmatched. Yet with fame came new challenges, relentless scrutiny, intense pressure, and the invisible weight of past trauma. Behind the glitz and glamour, the child who once endured loss and abandonment still lived within him. Laughter remained both his gift and his shield, concealing the cracks that persisted beneath the surface, despite wealth, accolades, and adoration from fans worldwide. Triumph and turmoil. Even as Eddie's career flourished, personal hardships continued. His life saw broken relationships, scandals, and personal losses that reminded him of life's fragility. Success and money could not erase grief or pain, nor heal old wounds. Eddie's story became a delicate balance between triumph and turmoil, laughter and sorrow, public admiration and private struggle. The child who survived through comedy now faced adult trials of fame, expectation, and family. Hollywood had given him everything, but happiness remained elusive. His laughter brought joy to millions, yet for Eddie, the silence behind the jokes was often louder than applause. Legacy of laughter. Today, at 64, Eddie Murphy's career is legendary. He has money, fame, and a family. But beyond the spotlight, he carries the enduring weight of childhood trauma and personal trials. His life is a testament to the power of resilience, creativity, and humor as survival tools. Yet it also serves as a reminder that even the brightest stars are not immune to pain. Eddie Murphy's legacy is more than comedy. It is the story of a boy who survived loss, transformed suffering into laughter, and became a beacon of hope for others, proving that light can emerge from darkness, however deep. Reflections on a life. Eddie Murphy's journey reflects both brilliance and vulnerability. He turned childhood pain into a career that redefined comedy, reshaping American culture. His laughter was a shield, a weapon, and a bridge between past and present. Yet it also concealed the shadows of a life marked by loss, instability, and struggle. Even as Hollywood celebrates his achievements, the man behind the roles remains a complex figure, balancing fame with reflection, joy with regret. Eddie Murphy reminds us that comedy is often tragedy viewed from afar, and that the brightest lights sometimes shine over the deepest shadows.